Umo, after seeing the live stream of 5.1 and after, knowing that 5 NATLAN did not sell enough and Molani and Kazuha sold even less than half of what Lina and Yellen sold in 4 at the beginning of Fontaine, and especially after. That the 5 NATLAN there were quite a few things that we liked, but at the same time many things that made us illusion and thee. Most of us literally sat like smoke, like stammering frost, like the 55 fortified that nobody comes out of. Like the voice materials that a lot of people said, so they come out 3 or 4. And the reality is that they only come out 3, and that comes out 4. It's harder for me to hit you with the lottery. Today, we're at a point in NATLAN where I personally stand. If all the second half of Fontaine that went incredibly bad in sales and NATLAN's beginning with Dawana crying
Ya no, hijo. No te creo.
And asking for forgiveness from the players was smoke because I had no choice for the actual sales of the game. So leave a good like, a good net ultimate subscribe, leave a good comment for algorithm on time. I ask you your opinion on this subject before I explain and express in this video what we are going to argue, and I'm reading you and I want to know what you really think. You know how to leave a good like and ultimate of net, as I said it. It doesn't cost you anything, it's totally free, supports the channel recommends. The video we grow a lot, so running costs us nothing, thanks a lot, thanks to and for that like and so subscribe. With Bell welcome to invite you to the directs, and we go with NATLAN has been smoke well. As said, the 5.1 just comes. Shilonen, who's an incredibly powerful character. There is a video of the kid in the channel that is around here. I recommend you go see it. And basically, there's nothing else coming, the Archonte mission. And let's keep in mind that for a month and a half, it's the whole version. Let's not say we'll solve all that month and a half, just the Archonte mission as good as it is, and just a character. As good as the rest of the banners are, we also know that if it's Kiori that's not going well, it's a character. That today does not contribute much more to any account. And then Nahida and Hutao, that the truth is that they are also quite well, and there is a main event about Nahida and her birthday, which is the main element of the version where in addition, sub-events give us a point Candice so far. There is nothing else, but 5.1 is a filler version is very strange, and at first they bring us stuffing in the versions, but here I'm going to break a spear even though we're wearing a little bit of a video, and it looks like I'm going to talk about bad situation, and that's how we usually get stuffed at the end of the nations. Let's remember the end of Sumeru when they wanted to get Honkai out and they literally loaded Genshin and they were the lowest numbers. Nefarious because the players came angry from the 5th of the 4.1, which was the anniversario. In fact, several Funashio. Shines and the ones we had in Genshin in the end was also because there was quality of life, because many of us understand that you can enjoy the game and separate from the decisions of the company, and in fact, do that deaf ears and simply enjoy the part of the game as such, which is what I usually talk about in this channel, and recommend doing so too. Hoyoverse is that maybe they're gonna put this filler version on us now, so that all the rest of NATLAN until it's over and it starts. It's Nesnaya no longer filling, i.e. instead of putting stuffing at the end, now putting stuffing, let's say at first a little bit. And so it only goes from less to more, but also as disclaimer, Hoyoverse and Genshin Impact has taught us that no illusions must be made. That you can't live with expectations, and that this self-convince that better things will come then doesn't happen. And the last, when it happened that it was with NATLAN, that we all said that we never expected that, and wow, there were changes in things. But it was fine, even though half of it started to make smoke, we realized that more has been a speech, and that, as I say, and as it is the theme of the video, can approach having been literally smoke, because that smoke is dissipating. And we have the reality behind the game now inside all this smoke we're going to chat. And this is the good part we're going to chat. Of what is really being NATLAN. NATLAN is a new area that people have loved, the Spanish-speaking community. Is to tell you that you are watching this video, and that to this day I am very grateful that you have positioned the channel as one. Genshin speaks Spanish and reflects on many occasions your general opinion, or at least I receive thousands of feedback inputs to be able to take into account what most of your opinion you think or I think, Or do not think I. So basically you're delighted with the NATLAN region, but that's not the reality outside the Latin American community. Think and think, because sometimes the bubble effect that NATLAN has enchanted occurs in the Genshin community in general and let us remember that most of Genshin's community is not us, but the English and Asian community. ASEAN community actually uses the English language to communicate, as Koreans do not know Japanese or Chinese, and so with the rest of the countries in general in Asia, with what the biggest Asian creators like Tuanto and others use. English, and his videos are in English. And what about all this that, as I said, this version that in theory we supposedly say glad people and there's a lot of hype and so on, it's not really reflected in social media numbers and searches of Google and Google Trends, and above all in money, has not sold as much Mualani and Kazuha as they sold at the beginning of Fontaine. Yelan and Line and Fontaine's principle had a lot of hype, because Genshin's absolute roof was the beginning of Sumeru concretely. Where was the third region came new element that is the inside and came from the beginning, came earlier in Inazuma, where we went from a totally desertic and empty one to Inazuma, where people finally had a new region, a new nation after of a year that felt that the game was empty. Those who played the 1.345 and 6, the 6 not buy, and no more cancelled. You know what I'm talking about and what happened in NATLAN, that while all Spanish speakers have loved all the references hasn't sold what was expected here. There's a very important point to comment on, and it's just like, let's say, this speculation that they are putting stuffing now, although surely Shalonan will sell quite well, and Mavuka more still leave in the comments you think about selling Silo and Enema Wika, and if they will beat records in Genshin, and this will at least deserve her. The strategy are taking has occurred a very serious error in the 5, and that is that although they have come Mualani Quine, that are two carries that have potential to be one of the best carries in the game, far beyond the first carries at Jimu. They came like Laini or Tignari in Fontaine or Sumeru. Basically, the banners have been based on having 3 carries and a single support. And in fact, it is noted that these banners were not only focused on new players trying to replicate the strategy of the beginning of Fontaine and the Sumeru principle, but the only support that people would really seek is Kazuha, and most of players have it to Chero, and here comes the biggest mistake of this smoke that they wanted to sell us, and is that the players mostly who have started playing Genshin in NATLAN are a minority compared to players who previously in Sumeru or in Fontaine came. Most players who are currently watching this video playing NATLAN are players that you have replayed, that you have ever played, and that now with NATLAN that there has been good news in general. Although they're turning into smoke, you've played Genshin again, and that means most of you already have Kazuha because you knew it was broken, that maybe Raiden doesn't need the C2 that are too much Protogimas, or that it's already a ancient carry that has been seen by Fluo, and that does not enter the top 5 of Karis, or that maybe Kinney and Shimuolani being Karis. There say Skippybuzz will come in some rare, and it's better to save to go for supports like Silon and Mawika, or Nahida. That comes now, or some Raren of Furina, or the best carries of the game that are Nuvilet or Aralekino. And this has generated this sales batakazo by focus and strategy on new players, which is what I continually believe you all know. They try to focus the game new players and do not care to keep and reward older players as the cars. Tafosas, without going further than is what made most of the players surely to you also turned out. Be more of a tool for new players who have practically no items, and they do very well a specific set chalice of the concrete element with critical probability, critical year, although it rises badly because they do not have any because they are new. That to us who are already looking for it, let's say a more perfect chalice to optimize and improve our character, and that's going to follow being a big mistake, and that's what I think they're going to keep wanting to boost or not if they learn their mistakes, because let's say that all the niche of people who could technically play Genshin Impact at least has already been touched in some way or another. In the sense that people already know Genshin Impact. Even if they don't play Genshin Impact, already people know that Genshin is a game. Mainstream, known worldwide, and already related to this game, and can decide to give a chance now. What they have to do is build a good reputation with the old players so that each time a player will person who is not a player but knows Genshin Impact who might be a potential player, Ask an old player of Genshin Impact. How about not saying good because it seemed that NATLAN was going well, but in the end it was all smoke, and now the 5.1 is full. Good stuffing suffices well is a game of Chinese monkeys, careful with spending money as a porridge, and the porridge already know what they are, and people will say it's a gacha. And I've only heard bad things from Genshin, and there are only Chinese funnels to the company and only lie. I see content creators who are not really happy, and that there are always problems with the company, and that. Is reality a potential new player who is not yet playing Genshin? Is just listening to the reality of what is now if? Want the players that potential players who have not yet touched the game, but know the game of opportunity? What they have to do is to till themselves already at last a good reputation not to throw crocodile tears from, or we have changed, and suddenly throw an empty 5.1 when they could have done countless minimal things that didn't cost them some kind of fod. Modification in game, some kind of notice or notice, even triples banner, that would be a fairly big change somehow. Hint of warning, let's say in some pity of 55-45, or go out and explain why in the end it doesn't come out to anyone or that it didn't get understood. Either teach it in writing so that people understand how it works, or 80,000 etc. Like being able to remove the emoji mode of the live stream on Twitch, so that people not only speak emojis mode but can write as normal people in any chat as they still have the emojis mode. This is because surely they continue to criticize things because after. To give crocodile tears and make them, or try to make people buy a lot and not buy so much in the version. Natalie advancing by twos to take advantage that people at that moment, after seeing the tears of the Wei had. So it's smoke or it's not smoke in my opinion, I really think there was. Had a minimum of faith with Natal, but after seeing then the literal smoke that has occurred with quite a few things that was going to. Saying the 5 doesn't make the 5 look amazing to me, but I didn't like the rhythm that's taking all this. I'm not leaving. To cling like a burning nail to the ephemeral hope that perhaps this version of River 5.1 is just for them to be born. Go from less to more and then be either apotheoxic and go up if you put filling at the beginning and filling at the end of fact. We'll go from being one of the best regions of Genshin to possibly the worst, because none had even put in filler. At first, the beginning was always very full, and it was very fun, and it only remains to wait to see if it really is confirmed. Because time is wise, and it is what really exposes what can be the reality and truth of things if it was. Oh, not crocodile tears and whether or not it was smoke. But specifically to me, it didn't seem anything good all that has. 5.1 is a completely empty version, and we'll see why I understand and say yes, they will be amazing.
Are you sure about that?
The 5.2 and the 5.30 with new zone, that both will come with new zone. The 5.3 with the final mission of Arcante and Mavuika, and to see what more real improvements bring us in all NATLAN, not punctual quality of life that is equally appreciated and is very good but improved. Really give the game a lot more potential to take care of, and be grateful to the old players who bring us. With the same level 90 that does not change anything in the players, neither in the combat, nor in anything similar, little more in my opinion now. It's 70% smoke, and that's not good to leave a good like a good useful Vinez. Subscribe you already, I say, after watching the video. Now I do put myself in another comment, other than your opinion, to see what happens to all this, or maybe just I felt a little bad personally that 5.1 is stuffing, that I don't think things aren't smelling too much. Okay. Well, in general, and to see what happens in the future, and that we find it difficult to give a like, to subscribe, bell, all the rest debate.